Okay, a brand new Barn Baseball show. He's Lindsay Crosby. I'm Brad Law, and it's Iron Bowl of Baseball weekend. How do you feel about that, first of all? Do you like the Iron Bowl of fill in the blank, or do you not like it? Where do you stand?
It's not the same as the Iron Bowl, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you have to acknowledge this is not a normal conference matchup. So I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I think it's fine. I'm fine with it. It's like how some people think a big deal is the combined no-hitter. I don't think a combined no-hitter is that impressive in the pros, but you want to make a big deal out of it, go ahead. Same thing here. I think it's fine. You need to delineate it somehow, but it's not the same as the football one to me.
Yeah. I never thought about the combined no-hitter not being impressive. I just never thought about it because you just have it shoved down your throat that it is impressive.
Yeah.
And I never thought to push back on that.
I was doing a trivia thing the other day, and I got one wrong. They were like, name all the no-hitters from last year. And I got one wrong because I didn't name the Cubs combined no-hitter. And I'm like, that shouldn't count. It's impressive that one guy can go a full game and not allow a hit, not four, a starter and three relievers. So.
Not one guy go through the order twice and another guy get 4 outs and another guy get 5. Yeah, that's a good point. So I like that, Lindsay. I like that. I think I have changed my opinion because in that case, what you're really doing is pointing out the ineptitude of the other team's offense. Like you guys couldn't get a hit off 3 different pitchers.
Yeah.
Although my Merker Wohlers Pena that's a core memory of watching that game because that was a late game at their place. It was it was a late night. I was at my grandparents' house in little bitty Spring Garden, Alabama, watching the Merker Wohlers Pena no hitter.
There you go, the combined no hitter. See, it's good memories, right?
Yeah.
But it's not the same because it's an individual achievement. Right.
Kent Merker is a part of 2 no-hitters, by the way. Think about that. How about that? I mean, I know you're – huh?
What a stat.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
Of all the Braves pitchers, name the Braves pitchers that are associated with 2 no-hitters.
And it's like, Kent Merker's in there.
Kent Merker. All right. Anyway, no disrespect to Kent Merker. I loved Kent Merker. In fact, it's a fun name, Kent Merker. If you say it 3 times fast, Kent Merker. Anyway, okay, that's enough. That's enough of that. Let's get down to business. Auburn and Alabama. What do you want to talk about? Where do you want to go first?
I think where I want to go first, well, one, shout out to Sonny DeShera. He is in Madison right now with the Trash Pandas. Couldn't be on this show. He'll be back next week. I think I want to go with Auburn's offense, right? Because I've completely flipped from where I was early in the season. In the season, the conversation we had on this show, we saw it in some of the early games, was Auburn's offense is going to be the strength of this team. They can score on anybody. And the question we had was, could a reloaded and revamped pitching staff, who last year had, I don't think anybody with an ERA under 5, could they hold the score down enough to let Auburn's offense win it? And that has completely flipped. And in conference play, this is not the same offense. No. Auburn's batting .231 in conference play.
That's 15th out of 16 teams, by the way.
That is. They have 12 home runs, which is close to the bottom. Not the absolute worst, but close to the bottom. And I'm really kind of lost as to what needs to change other than just saying your upperclassmen have to be better. Right? That's very simplistic. But
Lindsay, it's fair. And that's what I want to try to do here. Look, I call these games for Auburn. I'm an advocate for Auburn, and I'm an advocate for the players.
Yeah.
But a lot of these guys have major league aspirations. They want to play baseball. They want to be paid to play baseball professionally. Mm-hmm. And a fair assessment is and he would tell you, okay? So I'm not ripping guys if I say the starting shortstop has to hit better than 125 in conference play. Mm-hmm. Is that reasonable or is that unreasonable?
No, that's perfectly reasonable. You can say that without being insulting.
Your starting first baseman has to hit better than 156 with 14 strikeouts. Those are conference-only stats. That can't happen. Your starting third baseman can't hit below 200.
Your
starting center fielder can't and win games. And The coaches know these guys are capable of winning a bunch of games. And through the first, I'm going to try not to cram all my soapboxes into one moment here. But so let me back up.
Okay.
Through 3 weekends, because we didn't have a chance to talk about this in a Georgia recap. If like the baseline at the beginning of the year is you need to get 2 out of 3 at home and get 1 out of 3 on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So through the first 3 series of the year, you're 4-5. 2 of those have been on the road. So if you had arrived at that 4-5 through the conventional way, you'd feel fine. You'd feel totally fine.
Yeah.
So, and you got a winnable series this weekend. LSU at home is winnable if you start hitting the ball better. You get back-to-back home weekends. You got a chance to be halfway through the conference slate and feel fine about it all.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to have to start hitting more consistently. And I know the coaches have talked to the players, specifically the guys with experience, not just on, but like even some of the transfers with experience. And the message is, if you're getting out the same way every time, it ain't going to change. They're going to keep coming after you that way.
Yeah.
If you swing and miss at high fastballs, what are you getting with 2 strikes?
A high fastball.
Every time. If you swing and miss at a backdoor breaking ball or back foot breaking ball or whatever it is, it's going to keep coming. You must adjust, or else the results are not going to change. So we will see. What a great time this weekend to see if that changes.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how the lineup shakes out this weekend, because we've seen, some guys who haven't been available. Eric Guevara's hamstring has been bothering him. He's been coaching some first base a little bit, right? You haven't seen Cale Strickland a lot. Addison Kleps has been in there a little bit. He got 1 start in conference play.
Cade Ballou hasn't played the last 2 games either. Remember, he slid in game 1 of the Georgia doubleheader, and they had to come take a look at his shoulder, and he hadn't played the last 2. Need him to be healthy and his bat to be in the lineup.
Yeah, and right now you're counting on Ike Irish, who has been in right field only. I don't think that's, you may know better than me, I don't think that's an injury thing. That's just, you've also got Chase Fralick, you've also got Lucas Steele, who are hitting. If you need all 3 in the lineup, the easiest way to do that is to move Ike to the outfield.
I think it's 80-20, Lindsay.
Yeah.
I think it's 80%. You got to keep those other guys in. I do think that some of it is let that scapula continue to heal and not put too much strain on it. But yeah, mostly, thankfully, Fralick and Steele are hitting the ball well. And Ike's hitting has been tremendous. He's Auburn's best hitter in conference games by far.
423, yeah. He's the only one over. He's 110 points over the next highest person.
And that's Bristol Carter, who just got back in the lineup last weekend. So you talk about the regulars that have been in all the conference games, and he's 129 points higher than the next highest guy, who's Chase Fralick at 294.
And then right behind him is Chris Rimbert at 292, another one of your freshmen.
Yeah, you don't have to have everybody at 300 or better. But like if Cooper and Derek and Eric and Cade, if those guys were also around 250, you're 6-3, or at worst 5-4 right now, probably.
And I think what happens when you're in this situation of you have an extreme high, you have a lot of lows and a couple of guys there in the middle, is Auburn's losing the ability we've talked about so much, that mentality of being able to go out there every inning and put up a run or put up 2 runs and chip away a deficit. Yeah. That's what you're losing, because you get to dips in the lineup where you have 3 consecutive guys batting under 200.
Yep.
And to your point, if everybody's in that 200s, 275, 290, whatever it is, you feel like every inning you have consistent threats on the opposing pitching. You're getting balls in play for the opposing defense to make them perform. And Auburn's just missing that right now. But I don't know how you fix that. It's not like you have a whole second wave of starters on the bench, because it's your veterans you're talking about. It's your Cooper McMurray. It's your Eric Stoyer, Derek Fabian.
I think you're getting to the point, though, where you could sub out one at a time.
Yeah.
Like you can give one game off here and there. And I don't know that that's always that's the easy thing to say is, well, he just needs to sit. Okay, or does he need to learn to fight through it?
Yeah.
Does he need to learn to adjust on the fly or adjust midstream? Because that's, you're gonna have to do that. That's life, man. You got to make adjustments on the fly. If it ain't working, you got to FIO.
Figure it out.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. Live update during the recording. I just got a DM from a media member of mine. Sonny DeShare is at Media Day for the Trash Pandas today, and he shouted out the podcast at Media Day.
Nice.
We love you, buddy. We miss you. He'll be
welcome
back next week
to
again.
everybody. Welcome to everybody who's watching because of Sonny's shout out during the Media Day.
During Trash Pandas Media Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's you've got to figure one of those guys out and just get somebody going. I don't know how you do that though against Alabama because they're not the best pitching staff in the conference, but I do think they're probably better than a lot of people maybe realize. From an ERA perspective, it's an ERA of 5. Everybody, for the most part, is like that. The best ERA in the conference is Texas at 3.29, right?
That's why, to go into part 2 of my soapbox.
Yes. Okay.
That's why the offense has to get better, because the strike zone in this conference is this size. This is an index card. It's this size. That's your strike zone. I watched Christian Chatterton get squeezed like a dang Valencia orange Saturday in Athens. I'm not saying he pitched great. He pitched better than deserving a third of an inning for a second straight week. I watched guys multiple times last weekend, and we saw it at Kentucky too. They nailed that location right on the corner.
Didn't get it.
Ball. Didn't get it. There is no east-west to the strike zone anymore. The strike zone is that big consistently. Now, maybe the umpires are being told to call it that way, and so we shouldn't, heap all of our hate onto them. But if that's the case, then, and our guys are having to throw it right down the middle, their guys are having to throw it right down the middle, you have to hit. You have to hit. And this was a strength of the team the first month of the season. Against, by the way, some pretty good teams. Oregon State, Baylor, Troy. These aren't bad teams.
Ranked teams.
Yeah. So it's not like, in other words, it's not like Auburn feasted on weaker teams before the start of conference play.
Yeah.
They're just in a struggle. They're in a slump offensively. And it's about time to break out of that.
Yeah. And I do think there's probably some sort of connection there between the size of the strike zone, and if the hitters are struggling, you shouldn't, they're not struggling with strikeouts other than maybe Cooper McMurray, right? He's the only one in conference play with double-digit strikeouts. A lot of these other guys are sitting on, Eric Stone doesn't strike out a ton, but he's got 5 strikeouts. Derek Fabian doesn't, he has 9, so 1 a game, right? It's not egregious amount of strikeouts. It's just poor quality contact, right? They're not hitting the hittable pitches. I remember there was a little bit of internet clamor last year. This is an MLB anecdote here, but about how Aaron Judge hit however many home runs on middle fastballs. Like zone 5 in StatCast is a middle center cut fastball. And they were like, this is how many home runs he got off of mistake pitches. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to hit those bad pitches. That's what makes a good hitter great, is taking advantage of every opportunity. And I feel like that's where Auburn's really struggled. They might miss a pitch in the zone, and then now you're behind and you have to chase when they try to expand, and you end up swinging at a ball, or you end up rolling over a ball. Yeah. That's, I feel like, the big approach that has to change, because it's now no east and west in the strike zone. It's so small. It's now down to stuff. Yeah. And your swing beat their stuff. And I feel like these guys have good swings. I'm not incredibly afraid of most of the Alabama pitching staff's stuff.
Yeah.
You should be able to be successful this weekend.
Yeah. Nope. I agree with you. And I would also say, having said all of that, you got a 2-run loss to Vandy on Saturday of that series. I'm just going through the conference slate right now.
Yep.
Multiple opportunities against Georgia. You held them to 4 runs, and you had the lead in the top of the 10th inning in Athens in the finale. you're not all that far away. And this might lead into the pitching conversation.
Yeah.
You're not all that far away from 6-3, 5-4 in the league. And then you feel like you're saying, and then instead of like the narrative is subtly different. Instead of, man, the offense got to get going, it's in a slump right now. You're saying, despite the fact that the offense is in a bit of a slump, you're still better than 500 in conference play. Just think of what happens when it does all get turned. So, again, a game under 500, 9 games in, and a chance this weekend to get back to 500 or obviously better against your rival. It's a time to go forward rather than be on your heels. It's a time to be on the balls of your feet and move forward.
Yeah. And in just a second, let's look at that pitching matchup for this weekend and kind of what Auburn might try to do. We'll do that next right here on the Barn Baseball Show. Welcome back to the Barn Baseball Show. Lindsay, Crosby, Bradlaw previewing the Iron Bowl of baseball, which, I never actually got your opinion on that, Brad. Are you cool with that, Brandon? You asked me and I never asked you back, which you typically don't want me to do that.
No, you're good. I don't like it. I think the Iron Bowl is the Iron Bowl.
That makes sense.
And I think that Auburn, Alabama, the phrase Auburn/Alabama carries enough importance and weight that you don't need to bring the football game into it, if that makes sense. If you say the Auburn, Alabama baseball series, that's enough.
Yeah,
that's enough. Auburn, Alabama women's tennis, Auburn, Alabama basketball, Auburn, Alabama. Just say Auburn first. A lot of people say it the other way. That's wrong. It's Auburn first. So I don't like the Iron Bowl of anything. Nothing is the Iron Bowl. Nothing else is the Iron Bowl.
Makes sense.
So there you go.
I'm down with that. I will not call it the Iron Bowl of baseball once this weekend.
There you go.
Just for you. Brad.
Neither will I. Yeah.
I was about to say, nobody's going to hear the broadcast either.
Nope.
Okay. So full disclosure on this, we are recording this before we go to media. So we don't actually officially have the starting pitching matchups for Auburn and Alabama. Those aren't required to be put out until Thursday night when the participation report comes out from the conference. But I think we're pretty confident it's going to be Sam Dutton and Cade Fisher in your first 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a better seat for this than I did over the weekend. Am I actually optimistic about both of those guys because of the growth that Cade Fisher has been able to show on a week-to-week basis? And then what Sam Dutton's obviously done so far this season?
I think it's smart. I think there's a lot of data to back your being excited about that. I think you have to take with a grain of salt anything that happens at Foley Field. If Auburn played offense at Foley Field 30 times a year, we'd be having a very different conversation about the offense. So, the fact that Cade went 3 innings as opposed to 4, that probably checks out. That's probably about the same. 3 innings at Foley Field for a starting opposing pitcher. And that's a good Georgia. Let's also not take away, that's a dang good Georgia team.
Even if you discount the ballpark, it's a very good team. It's not just the fact that they play in a wind tunnel.
Right. It's not a rock and jock softball stadium with those kind of rules. And that's for older people that will know what that was.
I remember the Rock and Jock series. That was fun to watch.
I loved Rock and Jock. Rock and Jock softball and Rock and Jock basketball were 2 of my favorite.
The extra goal that was way up in the air that you could get so many extra points for.
You get 10 points.
20 feet in the area. That was fun. And
was
sometimes you could see them if they could make the top one and they'd still make the bottom one and fall straight down. You get extra points. It was great.
You get extra points. No, it was great. So, no, Georgia's good. So let's don't discount that. You're not going to play a lot of offenses. In fact, statistically, you're not going to play another offense like Georgia's the rest of the year, unless you see them in Omaha. So that, I think, is reason for optimism. Dutton's been solid. He's been consistent. Can't wait to see him back at home. Can't wait to see a new and improved Cade Fisher for the first time in 3 weekends at home in this ballpark. No, those guys continue to track in a very positive way. And, My only question about the other starter is, when are we going to play the game? Are we going to play the game Saturday? Or are we actually going to play it on Sunday? Because for a third straight week, the Sunday forecast looks awfully wet. So we'll see if any, alterations are made to the schedule.
If Auburn takes advantage of the incoming weather to make changes for Saturday, what are the odds that they push everything very far up in the day to have it all done before basketball? Because if you think of TV, right?
TV.
Yeah.
The 7:00 game, the what is now the Saturday, the only game scheduled for Saturday is a 7:00 start, 7 Central. That's for SEC Network, not Plus, but regular linear over-the-air TV network. And you cannot change those times. That's why we played the game last week at 10:00 in the morning, so that there was enough of a window to get it in before the immovable 3:00 Central start.
That makes sense.
Same kind of deal. So if they make any changes, we probably won't know till tomorrow night or tonight. I guess the show's releasing on Friday, then it's tonight after the game. And it would probably be 1 or 2 in the afternoon would be my guess.
Yeah. You'd take the 2 p.m. Sunday game and just move it up 24 hours, or 25, make it 1 o'clock and go like that.
Right.
That'll be fun. When you do finally have that game 3, whether it's on Sunday or it's on Saturday, I want to get, because you had a great seat for this, I want to get your thoughts on what we saw out of Carson Myers last weekend at Georgia. 4 2/3 innings, 2 hits, no walks, 10 strikeouts. It is, I believe, if I have this right, it's the longest outing of his Auburn career.
Yeah.
It is the highest strikeout total he's recorded in a single game. Just absolutely amazing outing from a guy that we had very high expectations for going into the year. Is there a possibility, given how long he was able to go on very little notice, that he possibly gets a start this weekend?
It's possible. Carson has started a handful of games. Yeah. And this, the energy and approach to a start is very different from the approach to coming in out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
I would love it. I mean, look, we would all take Athens Carson Meyer in a heartbeat. You'd love to start a game that way. But I don't know. They have data on Carson as a starter. I do think Auburn...
he had like 13, was it? 13 starts at UAB, and then he put up like 8 last year or something, didn't he? Right.
And I think he's pitched so much better as a long reliever than he has as a starter. But you do need somebody there. I mean, I expect Auburn to go TBA for game 3. They did that last week, and then Chatterton got the start in that, in the doubleheader situation. So I don't know. It may come down, honestly, to how many guys do you have to, if you get into a doubleheader situation Saturday, how many guys are you using in the first game?
Yeah.
Do you use a lot of guys for short stints on Friday that could come back on Saturday? How much do you see Parker Carlson? Could Parker start a game?
Yeah.
That's I don't know. I don't know what you do there.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision, but it's also a fun problem to have. And one kind of tying back to the beginning of the show where I mentioned this, it's opposite of kind of where you thought you would be, right? I had the question of, are you going to have enough arms step up to get you through a weekend without giving up 20 runs to somebody? And you're in that situation now where you feel really good about the pitching staff as a whole. Like looking at, I have the conference stats here.
Yeah.
Shout out to George for that email. I mean, you've thrown quite a few guys, and all of them have been good. Whether it's obviously Myers, Cam Tilley, Andreas Alvarez has had a little bit of a struggle in conference play since he's moved to the weekend, but Parker Carlson's been good. Dylan Watts has been somebody who's come in with some good stuff, has really kind of shown the ability to not give up too many walks. Griffin Graves hasn't pitched a lot of innings, hasn't walked anybody though.
Yeah.
So
he was really good the other night. He against UAB was great. It was the best outing of his Auburn career Tuesday against UAB at the back end of that ball game. Kept it at 4. Kept it a 2-run game for all 3 of his innings.
Yeah. It's the alliterative thing. You just got to have more alliterative guys, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Cam Tilley, change one of your names. So, all right. Going into this, not knowing officially who the starters are, but kind of expecting it to be a TBA for the 3rd game. Predictions, it's going to be 2-1. I know it is, but
mine's not.
Oh,
Mine's not.
Okay.
There are no repercussions. There are no repercussions for this. It's Alabama. I can't yield a game to Alabama. I can't. Even in our baseball conversation, like even in the, I don't care about the integrity of these picks. What are the seriously? What sort of ramifications are there if I'm wrong on this? Give me 3. Give me Auburn in all 3. I can't yield a game to those guys. Can't do it. Won't do it.
Okay, there you go. All right. Who then in that case, sweep, who's the MVP of the weekend for Auburn? Who is the guy that's the we point to when we say that's the reason that they won this series? There's an easy answer if we're talking about a hitter, but it could be a lot of different people.
Yeah, I don't want. Let's not go Ike. That's too easy.
That's the slam dunk. It's so easy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Parker Carlson. I think we see Parker twice.
Okay.
And I think he comes up big in some way twice. He might even get a win in one of the 3 games this weekend. Mobile native, extra special to him. Last time he'll face these guys. So give me Parker Carlson as an MVP for Auburn.
Okay. I
also think the bullpen's going to be so critical because Alabama has been a very good team late in games. Their hitting is, their pitching's fine. Their hitting is fine. They're bottom half of the league in average, but what they have done is come back late a lot this year.
Same mentality Auburn's had, right?
Yeah.
We're never done until all 27 outs are on the board.
So your bullpen can't just be fine. Your bullpen's got to be outstanding this weekend.
I think I'm also leaning bullpen just because Ike's too easy.
Yeah.
I think I'm torn between a guy who might come in and close a game or just a guy who might come in and give you a bunch of high quality innings. I think I'm going to go with Ryan Hetzler.
Okay.
He was really strong early in the season, kind of doing some of that closing role. I think he leads the team in saves in conference. Not that that's much. He has like 2. But that's the kind of guy you're going to need to come in and shut down an inning late.
He was good against Georgia, too. He just couldn't go back out there for another inning in the 10th. But 7th, 8th, and I think he went 3 innings, right? 7th, 8th, and 9th in the back end of that game against Georgia. He was very good. So, yeah, he except for the one outing where he came back with no rest in between, he's been dynamite. So that's a good pick.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, the game times, like to Brad's point, as of now, 6 p.m. on Friday, 7 p.m. on Saturday, and then 2 p.m. on Sunday. But like Brad said, there is a very likely scenario where that Sunday game gets moved in some way to adjust for weather. I know a lot of you are going to be watching basketball, but it's really easy to mute the TV, listen to Brad while you watch basketball. Any final thoughts on this before I get us out of here, Brad?
No, I don't think so. Let's get back on track. So for everybody there are a lot of people who have gone to San Antonio who might otherwise be at the baseball games. Yeah. I would just encourage you, like if you've wanted to go, I know we've experienced this on like the corporate side of things. We had some corporate tickets set aside that some of our partners gave up because they were going to San Antonio. This is a great chance to get tickets to watch Auburn baseball against Alabama. It's a big time top 15 series. Hey, take advantage of it and let's go support the Tigers this weekend.
Yeah, let's get it done. War Eagle folks, this has been the Barn Baseball Show for Friday, April 4th. If you're listening on audio, do us a favor. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever Google uses for their podcast now, leave a 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and go check out thebarnauburn.com. All kind of baseball nuggets. We have live threads in there for every game and all that kind of stuff. Until next time, this has been the Barn Baseball Show.